Right, we're back with Daz at the Reebok. We spoke last time on the interviews. We got as far as Event City and the trials and tribulations there about that show, and then you moved on to the point at Old Trafford at Lancashire. New venue, not been open long, I don't think. The suites there. How did it go there?
So we touched on last time. The point is a fantastic room. It's a fantastic room from the point of view that it's got everything. It's a modern event room. So you've got mood lighting in the ceiling. The room itself is dead accessible. The building's brand new. When you walk in, you've got that wow factor. It's actually as big as the carpeted area in the Prem, and it's 10 metres longer. However, when the Prem opens up with the balcony and gives you lots of aeration and space, and behind the curtains, the point doesn't. It's just a big rectangle box. So we had problems in there in relation to sound. The room just is not acoustically good at all. They were really worried about us using indoor pyro. A, for the aircon, and B, for the bang. Because when the bang goes off during the pyro, that room's full of big laminated glass sheets. But a bang creates a sonic wave. So that was a massive consideration. Show was fantastic. Apart from we couldn't get enough people. We just couldn't get enough people. We ended up in the point, when we did Event City, the girl that looked after us when we were at the Reebok, a girl called Nicola Pinder, was the head of sales over at the point. She'd come to my event after seeing the advertisement running at the traffic centre on the big screen. Called me and said, I'm here, come and have a look at the venue. When you first walk into an empty room, like any empty room, it looks huge. Stick a 24-foot boxing ring with it, a load of staging, half a dozen tables, a big catwalk, and all of a sudden that room's not very big anymore. The show was fantastic. It looked like the last time we were dangerously crowding in the place, to the point where the venue was stopping people coming in the door. We'd sold the allocated tickets that they told us we could have, but they couldn't even do the waitress service. We couldn't get past people. Sam Jackson was fighting at one point, and I was downstairs, and Darren Phillips come and got me, and he said he's brewing this. So we legged it up to the back of the room where the seat and stalls were, and Sam Jackson's lot were on one side. I can't remember who was fighting. They were on the other side, but it was getting going. All of a sudden, we were joined by about another 4 or 5 people. So security were doing their bit, but they were there as ushers more than crowd control. We'd never had violence, and I certainly didn't want any, certainly not in that room. It was tight. Next thing, Pelly appeared. I think Barnell appeared, and there was about 6 instructors all stood in a line separating the crowd. It was I kept looking at Phillips looking at me and said, it's going to go this in a minute, it's going to go. And we were just trying to keep it calm. There's always 1 or 2 in there, you know, that are always shouting at the other person's fans, or calling somebody and effing this, that and the other. There's always somebody that's, you know, ready to light the touch paper. I mean, fortunately, we didn't have a problem. But
it was a really good show. Fight-wise, it was a good show.
The fight was great. Panicos got even with Chris Shaw. I mean, the fight in Scotland, we played on that quite heavily. Aaron O'Coughlin and Andy Alton had a proper war. Liam and Salvador, that was quality.
So the room, as you said, you probably, as soon as you set it up, you knew it wasn't right. Did that then lead you to look at the USN? You know, and the arena. Should we talk the arena tour?
So we did main event because we went to Event City. We didn't have a name for the show. It I was sat in the cafe talking with some of the lads, talking about it, and one of the lads went, "What about main event?" And I'm like, "That'll do." That's how we got the name. It literally that was the conversation. So then we went to the point, and then it just made sense to go main event straight to the point. And if you ever find the poster and look at it, the actual coloration and look at the points artwork, it's all the same. So then we needed to go from there, and we knew we needed somewhere bigger. Event City probably wasn't the place to go back to at the time because they found they had the camping and caravan show and places like that going in there. They found that their foothold in the market, and they realised what their worth was, and it was just they were dearer than going into MEN in the end. So we decided we'd do the arena tour. We just needed some arenas. So we thought, did we go into Manchester? We went into MEN, we met with Sarah and the GM. We looked around, we talked about chopping it down to an amphitheatre, using the lower tier. Well, the lower tier without the floor still 6,000 people. And that's chopped into an amphitheatre. That's not the full surround. With the floor, you're nearly 10,000 people. Well, that's a massive ask. It's never been done before. I mean, when MSA went in there, it was sparse. You know, to bring just to carpet the floor of MEN was at like $8.5 grand to put carpet down. That'd be used for one night only to be put in the bin. But if you put tables on concrete, it looks crap. And because of the way the room's set out with the lighting, you couldn't get away with making the floor look anything but concrete. So we thought, can't do that. So we went to USM. We looked at using the whole of the USM, which gives us 6,000 people, but that meant taking the middle balcony out. To take the middle balcony out of USM was a 2-week down time for them, and it's a full-time tennis school, and give us another £10,000 bill. So we decided to use one side of it. It's 1.5 times the size of the Prem. So it's a much bigger space.
Half of it is 1.5 times.
Yeah, it's a much bigger space, and it's a square space as well. A lot of variation. So we set the room out how we thought it'd be best, and we went with that. The first USN show was the one with Liam versus Rutten. It was alright. It was a bit of an anticlimax compared to Point and Event City.
Because I think, off memory, I might be wrong, because like I said, I couldn't even remember that you'd done 2 USNs. You'd laid the room out slightly different with the catering in one area. Am I right with that? And the ring, everything else planned around the ring. To be fair, as a spectator, which I am at all these events, I still think it worked well on the eye, but I'm there as a fan and not a promoter. Do you think it worked well as a room?
I completely changed it the second time. That was my bag. How the room was set out and how we were doing it was down to me. That was part of my remit between the three of us. And then it didn't work for me. It didn't work logistically well. The way the fighters came, nothing worked how I wanted it to work. Like I said, it was a bit of an anticlimax after coming out with the Point and Event City, which were ferocious shows. It was a bit of a downturn. So we left there and we looked at Newcastle Arena, we looked at Coventry's ground, and then we looked at what was the NIA taken over by Barcade, the Barcade Arena in the centre of Birmingham. So we went and looked at that. It's bigger than the Echo, but smaller than MEM. We chopped it down to an amphitheatre. It still worked. We went in there, and that worked superbly. Apart from we didn't get the right support. We probably went into the Midlands expecting more support than we were going to get, and even people like Yogi and that we thought we would get mass support of, didn't really support us. A lot of people that said they were going to support us and didn't do. Show was still a success. The main event was ridiculous. Chad Sugden versus Michael Wakeley. Some of the other fights on the show were fantastic.
What sort of numbers did you set it out for in there, Daz, and what did you roughly attain?
It was set out for 6,000. We probably hit somewhere late threes. Because of the tiered seating and the way it was spread out, you couldn't really tell. But there was plenty of holes.
But in the bigger realm of things, you're talking numbers and being disappointed at top end of threes. It's still huge numbers, even in today's Muay Thai
It's
event.
huge numbers in Muay Thai, in the general Muay Thai scene. But you've got to remember, everything we've done, our shows were costing 100 grand plus, every one of them. I remember having a conversation with Alex Foreman years ago. He said to me, "How much is all that firework crap and all them lights you do?" And I went, 25 grand for your lights, 15 grand for your pyro. What? He just fell over. He went, nah, I was like, a mile cheaper than that. I think he's going to go to a local shop and get some standard fireworks. I
mean, the maths aren't hard, mate, are they?
No.
If you've a net of 40 quid on the ticket, and you're putting 3,000, it's bringing you in 120 grand. Your shows are costing you more than 100 grand. So without sponsorship and...
Mate, we needed sponsorship. Fortunately, we had the backing of Ducati. Now it's Ducati Manchester. People say, "Oh yeah, it was just a shop." It's not. Ducati Manchester is Ducati UK. They are Ducati UK. We had the backing of an Italian motorbike brand, who are the Ferrari of the brand. You know, they're the Ferrari of the motorbike world. And Ducati Italy in Bologna had to go, "You're all right to use our logo." Don't get me wrong, Ducati Motor Trading didn't put any money in the pot. My mate, who's the principal of Ducati, Manchester and DMC Group, he did. But for us to be able to use such a prestigious brand, this wasn't Monster Energy. This is a global motorbike icon. That all had to be signed off. That there was massive amounts of red tape in that.
That must have been a coup in itself for you to
Having
get
such a
Ducati.
prestige.
Yeah.
Of course it was. I mean, in the early days, Sandy sponsored us everything. Paul Hickman, who owns Sandy, he's an English guy from Stockport who owns Sandy. I don't know how many people even know that. So that was brought to the table by Fight Shop, that the Crowdlers. Adam Crowder photographed all my events. Simon, his brother, they own Fight Shop. I worked for them for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people thought I owned Fight Shop because I pushed Sandy so hard. And me and Paul Hickman became good friends. Paul used to sponsor my gym, sponsor my fighters, give them all. They all had their own gloves made for them. Everything we had the show name on the front. We designed different gloves every time. All the fighters got to keep the gloves, the shorts, but there was no sort of cash revenue from that. So then Tanko popped up out of the blue, Jamie Galaze and Panikos, and they had to take, for us to come away from Sandy, which I never wanted to do, ever. And I made no bones of that. Paul, Sandy had done a lot for me. So for me to actually walk away from them, to use another brand, it bothered me. But it was based on a business decision. Because Tanko then came in and gave us a very large amount of money. And they produced their equipment. But for that, they wanted to rename the show the Tanko Main Event. Which, yeah, okay, fine. No different to it being, the Carling Premier League or, whoever it is.
The show stays the same.
Yeah.
The name might change.
But we needed that influx of money. There's no point taking a few grand off Bob's window cleaning round. They were never going to get anything back for the money. Some of the corporate people who come to our shows went on and bought bikes from Ducati. In fact, people still buying bikes from Ducati. Said, "We saw you at the Starbucks show." Somebody bought one last week, I know for a fact, because I was tagging in the post. Said, "Oh yeah, I remember when you were at the Thai boxing show." Did that have a direct influence on his purchase? Who knows?
That's sponsorship for you, though, isn't it?
But Tanko got to showcase their stuff in the Muay Thai arena by the gloves, the shorts, blah 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 blah. So Bob's window cleaning round, you couldn't really go and ask Dave up the road to give you $2,000 for his local butcher's shop because he'd never get anything back. You know, it's a difficult slog. So when you're talking about doing shows that are costing you 100k plus, 3,000 people is not a lot of people.
No, but still big numbers.
Still big numbers. I
in,
mean,
in where we're at now, there'll be, I don't know, I don't get involved in the numbers and the figures, but next 2 weekends time, we've got Yakko here. It'll probably be near sellout. But, you know, I don't know, are they attaining 3,000? If they are, they're doing very well.
it's the only big show, and Brian does it right. So it is the only big show. I mean, I laugh now. Somebody said to me today, "Oh, such and such a show is on UFC Fight Pass." We got offered Fight Pass in 2015. We were offered to go on Fight Pass. 16, sorry. I was in London. We were in the Hilton Hotel. We were fighting Anderson Silva on the Saturday night, and a guy called Ian Threadgold, who was the head of Fight Pass at the time, when it was still Zuffa before the sold to ING. I got introduced to him by somebody else who's quite senior in the UFC, and said, "Darren promotes shows. Have a look." And he'd already got the shows up on the internet, and he said, how many shows do you do? We'd be really, really interested. So UFC approached us. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was 8/10 of my way there because of where I sat within the organisation.
Would that have brought money in, Darren, or would that have cost you money?
It would have cost us. The reason why it never went ahead, we weren't prepared to dilute what we were doing and put on. We needed to do 6 to 8 events a year. Well, then fights don't exist unless you dilute what you're doing right now, because the content they wanted all the time. Fight Pass isn't what it is now, because Fight Pass at the time had UFC, Cage Warriors. There's no stand-up. Glory hadn't even made it there at the time. So they were trying to find the right content. Well, they wanted the creme de la creme. It had to be produced in a certain way. I mean, the actual specs of filming and lighting increased our budget by 50 grand at the time. Now, I mean, they're taking content from all over the place. Whether they diluted that down, but at the time they wanted your footage needed to look like you were watching BT Sport on a Saturday night. You know, and I've still got the specs on email, and we looked at it and we're like, we can't do this. We can't cover it.
Do you think
sponsorship thing as well? If I would have brought in Peter Spenceley's videos as my ring camera sponsor, that was going out on UFC. So there was a percentage
all the time.
So, you know, I don't know if they still do the same way now, probably don't, but at the time they did, and we couldn't make the figures stack.
Do you think in your mind, we're talking figures again, so 2,500, 3,000 a rock up next week, do you think there is a place for paid views via YouTube or a different platform?
No.
Within Muay Thai?
No.
Straight answer.
No. I'll tell you why.
Wouldn't work.
I'll give you a prime example why. 2 words, Mark George. Most people know Mark George. Drives a crap car and his son's a very good Thai boxer. But Mark George will go live on Facebook. And while you can go live on Facebook, why would somebody pay £3 and watch it, or £5? It doesn't work.
Great point actually, because it actually went out last time free to air. Fair point, fair question. Going back to Ducati, and we'll finish off with this. What would be great for this little section of the interviews, if you could find Panikos's outtakes at Ducati in Manchester.
I have all of those. I will send them to you.
Will you send them to me, sir?
Panikos cannot talk in front of the camera.
And couldn't start a motorbike.
Well, definitely can't start a motorbike. It was a very, very cold winter's day, and he was stood topless in a pair of tie shorts outside Ducati, talking broken biscuits. Honestly, they're funny, those.
Well, I've got the photographs, because you asked me along to photograph it. If you've got the footage, we'll slot that in.
No,
and
I've definitely got the photographs. And the footage of Panikos not being able to speak.
We'll have the footage of when he did his scripted bit eventually after about 28 takes, and then stall the bike.
Yeah, he did.
Alright, we'll take a break there, mate.